right, guys, so we just got to the Bradenton exit off of 75. So this is Friday, and we're coming down to do some testing. They're doing testing from like 6 to 10 or something like that. And I know they're also having a private test day today too. So I think the track is going to be really good. So this will be perfect time to test. A few things we got to do before the race tomorrow is dial in the tune a little bit better on the new fuel pressure. So since all the upgrades, we changed the fuel pressure from a base fuel pressure of like 43. Now it's at 53. Okay, so we bumped up the fuel pressure quite a bit. Now that's going to change the tune a little bit. It'll make everything a little bit more rich. So I have to kind of make a few short passes just to see where the tune's at, and then we'll make an adjustment from there. But it shouldn't be too big of a deal as far as the adjustment goes, because it'll just be bringing down the fuel a little bit on the whole entire table. But anyway, that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna I forgot my GoPros, but I'll bring them tomorrow. And my friend's coming down, and he'll do some video on the outside of the car. But I'm gonna try to string these two videos together. I don't want to make two different ones because it's gonna be a real busy weekend. So anyway, we're almost there, and I'll just start with the first passes. All right, guys, so we're headed down for day 2. We made 3 passes yesterday. The first one went really well. I kept the, I turned everything down just to kind of get an idea where the tune was with the fuel pressure. And it was exactly what I expected. It was really rich. So made a few adjustments and made a couple more passes. Each pass got faster and faster. Again, you know, this is no time stuff, so I can't really share the times. I will share with you the 60 foot. We had our personal best 60 foot on the last pass, which was a 1:11 60 foot. That's wild. I was really surprised to see that, but I believe a lot of the changes I made as far as weight and weight bias really helped that out. And I mean, it got out of there quick. And in the video, you can see that it didn't want to wheelie or anything like that. It just straight down Broadway. So the only issues we've had, I've had a few issues. The whole battery setup, that I'm not used to running one of those lithium batteries. And I guess I gave it a little more credit than I should have. Yeah, you got to be more you have to be very mindful with those batteries when you're not using an alternator. Okay, so I was actually driving to the staging lanes. I was driving back from the end of the track. So on that last pass, the battery actually cut out. And when I looked at the battery voltage on my log, it ended at the track at 8 volts. Okay, so we made that pass on, like, it started at 11 and went all the way down to 8 volts, and the car shut off. But it was after I went through the traps, and then the battery voltage. The battery itself has some safeties in it, so it doesn't overly discharge itself. So it just shut off completely. So we had to reset the battery and all that. But those are just kind of things I'm learning about this lithium battery. I've had 16-volt batteries before, but it was never a lithium battery. Those discharge quicker, okay? They give you a lot more power, but they do discharge really fast, so it can hit you quick. With a normal battery, it takes a little more time. It's more of like a slower discharge. But anyway, like I said, we're headed back to the track, and we'll go from there. We're gonna start towing to the lanes and towing from the end of the track. So hopefully that will take some stress off the battery, and it will it'll be better for us. So anyway, we're gonna make a few more test passes. I'll put those in the video, and then we'll go right into chip draw and eliminations. So. Okay guys, so we're back in the shop here. This is the next day after Battle in the Bay, the race in Bradenton. And obviously it didn't go the way we had planned or hoped, but I learned a lot. And yeah, I'm gonna go over some of that stuff with you guys, what I took away from the weekend, and how we can improve and do better next time. So just bear with me while I get through all my excuses, because there's quite a few. So anyway, as far as the car, okay? So as you know, if you've been watching any of my videos, we've been doing a lot of changes. Moved the entire fuel system from the back of the car all the way to the front of the car. We upgraded the battery. We have a 16-volt battery now. And so with that, what ended up happening is the 16-volt battery is really driving the fuel pumps much harder than it did before on the 12-volt battery and the fuel pumps in the rear of the car. So this became a huge issue right from day one, okay? That's issue number one. I was thinking that I could go down there and just make a pass or two and dial in the tune, because I knew that it was gonna make more fuel pressure. And I knew that I was gonna have to adjust the tune a little bit in order to bring it back to, the way it's been running. So I did that. I kept adjusting and kept adjusting it. And it seemed like no matter what I did, it didn't matter. It still was running rich, like super rich, okay? So my theory is, and my buddy Jeff kind of clued me in on it, that it may not be just the pressure, but also the volume. It may be making a lot more volume fuel. I have a bigger fuel filter here too, and this is has much more flow than the old fuel filter I have. So that's a factor. It was just making so much fuel pressure, and so it was just so rich. Okay, so that was a big mistake. Going into a race not knowing your tune. That was mistake number one. Okay, so towards the end of the weekend, even in the eliminations, it still ran rich. I leaned it out even more. I ran the nitrous, hoping that the nitrous would even lean it out, but it was still rich. So we have a lot of testing to do on this thing. I want to get it on a dyno because that's the only way to really dial it in. So that's that. Now, the other issue we were having right from the get-go as well is while the battery, it does make a lot of power. Like the power is amazing out of this battery, and it drives the pumps like crazy. It drives my water pump like crazy. It's really good. But when it gets to a certain point, like it's almost like it doesn't let you know. It just falls off of a cliff, okay? Like the battery goes into like a shutdown mode or a safety mode if the charge gets below a certain amount. So on the last pass of testing on Friday was our fastest pass. Okay, we had a 111 60 foot, and I'll put a picture of the time slip, like maybe right here or something like that. A 111 60 foot, that's my personal best 60 foot, this car's best 60 foot. I was like, this is awesome, okay? That is really good progress, right? But up until that point, the car had been really doggy and just rich. So when we started looking at the tune, I noticed that the entire run was only at 8 volts and dropping, okay? So what did that do? I kind of thought about this and I'm like, so why did it go so fast whenever my voltage was dropping? Well, it took away fuel pressure from the fuel pumps, which leaned the tune out, okay? So once it leaned it out, and it actually went a little too lean, I mean, the car was flying, okay? That was the best pass of the weekend right there. And that was with 8 volts to the fuel pumps. So right then there, you know, that tells me that this thing is just making it's getting too much fuel, okay? And the, you know, as far as like the correcting that the ECU does, it can only correct to a limit, okay? It can't correct all of it. It only corrects up to a certain percentage. So once it starts correcting that much, it can't go any further. So yeah, so we struggled with that. So since the car was really rich, I was also having, this is another excuse, I was also having trouble getting it on the trans brake, okay? Because it was just so rich, it was like making a big backfire. All the fuel was like backfiring out of the exhaust, and then it would try to get up on the two-step, but it really wasn't. It was just kind of like, in the video, you can kind of hear it and see it. It's kind of like going up and then back down and then up and back down. You can see it in the tune and everything, or the log. So, and I'm attributing that also to the fuel, the too much fuel. It's just getting too much fuel. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Since it couldn't get up on the trans brake very well, the bump stopped working. So this bump box, for whatever reason, if the car is not up on a certain RPM, the bump box just won't work. It needs the transmission to be up at a certain pressure in order for that trans brake or the bump box to work. So we had one pass where it was a complete debacle where it just would not bump, and the car was popping and banging, but it wasn't, the RPM wasn't climbing. So it was just, I mean, all the fuel was coming out the exhaust and everything. It was just a complete mess. So yeah, so we had that. So those three things are basically the issues we had this weekend. I should have known better to not take a car to a race that you don't have a tune for. I mean, we literally did not have a correct tune on this car. So I'm trying to make test passes and tune at the same time. It's just, it was a bad idea, and I take full responsibility for that, so that's on me. But, you know, we didn't hurt anything. We didn't break anything. Everything worked. Nothing's wrong with the motor. Nothing's wrong with the new drive shaft we put in. Everything worked great. Very promising 60 foot. That 60 foot has got me very encouraged. So if we can just put everything together, that 60 foot with a back half, spraying the nitrous, I mean, we have potential here. So anyway, the fuel system did really good. I got a couple questions at the track of how the fuel system was doing as far as, you know, the 1 gallon fuel cell. And we were calculating, we were using about a half a gallon of gas every pass. So, you know, getting in the lanes, doing the burnout, going down, doing your pass, it was about a half a gallon. So the entire weekend, we only used about 5 gallons of gas. And I had two pails of the X85. So yeah, the 1 gallon fuel cell is perfect. No issues with that whatsoever. No leaking or anything. Everything worked great with that. So anyway, guys, I know this video is going to get long. I don't want to get it too long, but I felt it was important to kind of come on here and tell you guys, all the issues I had. That way, if you ever have those issues, it could help you. If you ever mess with your fuel pressure, okay, make sure you take a look at your tune. It's going to change it completely. And it really changed it way more than I thought it would. I did not think it would change it as much as it did. So anyway, we learned, and we'll make changes from there and move forward. But I'm going to take a little break on this car right now because my buddy Jeff has got a Chevelle. Maybe I'll put a little video in here of his car getting started. And he's gonna take his car to the track, and we're gonna do some videos on that. It's a 4-door Chevelle with an LS, so that'll be pretty cool. I want to see how that thing runs, and yeah, get him some seat time in his car. So anyway, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll check you guys later.